Hi, Senator.
Hello, everybody.
Hello. Thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome.
Is Susanna joining as well?
I think that she is, but I don't think we have to wait for her. We
Okay,
have, she'll be on in just a minute, but nice to see everybody.
thank you. So this is our 2021 speaker series group at the Food Bank of Contra Costa and Solano. We all will introduce ourselves independently when everyone goes to share their story. But we just want to say thank you so much for making the time to be here today. We know it's an incredibly busy time in the legislature, so thank you so much.
Well, you're very welcome. And I so appreciate the great work of the food bank, which I know you're going to illuminate with stories today. But I've spent many volunteer hours working with the food bank over the years, and it's such a vital help to so many. And Susanna Myers on my staff just joined, so I say hello to her. She can, there you go.
Hi, Susanna. Well, we really appreciate the continued support from you, Senator, and from your office. And we're really excited to be able to present to you today. Everyone will go and share their personal hunger story. So we have been working for the last 6 weeks. This is one of our main community-based programs at the food bank to really bring together community members who want to learn to be advocates against hunger in our communities and really become hunger fighters. So throughout the last 6 weeks, we've been working on advocacy education, education about food insecurity, working on developing these personal hunger stories. So we'll go through and each participant will share their story. And then if there's any feedback or comments you have on the stories, we welcome that. What we're really hoping to gain from today's session is having sort of a mock legislative visit, if you will, so that as we continue forward in advocacy, everyone knows the best way to really conduct that and interact with elected officials moving forward.
Terrific.
Okay, well, without further ado, we'll go ahead and get started. The first participant that will be sharing with us is Jenny. So Jenny.
Hi, Jenny.
Hi, hello. My name is Jenny Berten, and I'm a college health nurse at St. Mary's College in Moraga, and I'm a health advocate. And I'm part of the Food Bank Speaker Series program, and it's been wonderful. So during the COVID pandemic, I served on St. Mary's College's leadership planning group. I wrote college health protocols for COVID-19. I swabbed students' noses for COVID-19. We organized a successful on-campus COVID-19 vaccine clinic for hundreds of our students. I formed a community health advocacy group, and there I spoke about the science of COVID-19 and about safety guidelines. A friend from that group told me that before joining my group, she didn't realize that she could question her employer's COVID safety policies. She said, "Jenny, you taught me that I have a voice. I advocated for myself, and my actions impacted the terms of my return to work during the pandemic." So essentially, she was empowered by information and she took action. I was so proud of her newfound voice, which inspired me to continue with health advocacy in my circle by sharing information, writing letters to local officials, and health messaging in my community. So, did you know that 1 in 3 college students face food insecurity? Today, I advocate for food security. As a college health nurse, I see firsthand that food insecurity exacerbates chronic illness and stress. Food insecurity diminishes a student's ability to focus in the classroom. I want all college students to know that food security is more than having just enough food. I want all college students to have access to seasonal fruits and veggies, and a student's on-campus dining option must contain adequate protein and not be comprised of excessive carbs and processed foods. Studies have proven that fresh and healthy food maintains mental and physical health in our college students. Senator Glazer, we urge your support across chambers for AB 368, the food prescription bill, which will expand Medi-Cal access to food that reverses and prevents chronic health conditions. So college students under 21 are eligible for the benefits described in this bill. So please support AB 368 to help all college students reach their potential. Thank you.
Terrific, Jenny. That was a wonderful explanation of your background and what you have done and your experience. What I have found is that and I'm very active on this issue of food insecurity for students. I chair the Senate Select Committee on Student Success, and I've gone on tours around the state to various college campuses. And one of the weaknesses in the system is that a lot of times college campuses are seen as like islands. They're in counties, and counties have responsibility for issues like food insecurity. Sometimes they just say that the campus is over there, and that's really not our population base, even though it really is. And so there's a lack of coordination between county health and campus leadership, where food insecurity is a big problem and a big issue. And I appreciate you illuminating it with your own experience. And I'm glad that you've been able to empower people in your network to speak up for themselves. So thank you.
Great, thank you.
Thank you so much, Jenny. Our second speaker will be Armando.
Okay. Hey, good afternoon, Senator.
Hello.
All right. So, hello. My name is Armando Hernandez. I'm the executive director of a nonprofit agency called Vectors. It's a transitional housing program for veterans in Butte County. I am a participant in the Food Bank Speaker Series. The population of food insecurity that I would like to address is veterans. There is approximately 1.5 million veterans that are currently enrolled in the SNAP program. If you serve your country, you shouldn't have to worry between paying the bills and having something to eat. Yet, there are millions of veterans facing food insecurity in America and many in our community. At Vectors, we help serve veterans in many different ways. We work primarily with veterans experiencing homelessness, many of which served in combat or were wounded. Our veteran food pantry began helping 4 veterans every week. Then in November of 2018, the Camp Fire hit Butte County, and overnight we had thousands of people burned out of their homes. Within 48 hours, Vectors got food boxes and blankets for the evacuees at the Red Cross site in Chico. We acted immediately because that's what people do, to help one another. We became a partner agency with the food bank in Contra Costa and Solano County after the Camp Fire. Currently, we serve around 30 veteran households weekly. Nearly 40% of veterans served in Vietnam or Korea. 20% of those veterans served in the Iraq or Afghanistan war. 8 of those households that we serve have children or COVID-19 pandemic. We deliver food to an elderly veteran who served in the Marines during the Korean War. He is unable to drive and has poor health, but we're able to provide for him food weekly, and we check on him. He lives in a shack. He has no electricity or a bathroom. He lives on the Social Security benefits and nothing else. He's one of many veterans who benefit from local food banks. Support for local food banks is not only important, but necessary, and Vectors is proud to advocate for veterans in our community. We are in a unique situation because we have demonstrated the ability to help others during disaster relief. We currently have partnerships with other organizations. Some of them are the Veteran of Foreign Wars, the American Legion, the Vietnam Veterans Association, and our local VA clinic. With help, we can grow to serve more veterans in our county, and that's where you come in. So I'm asking you, Senator Glazer, help support in favor of Senate Bill 240 to help food banks with storage and capacity. With more funds and resources available, we can be ready to assist our community in a moment's notice. And as a veteran organization that has done this with little help, imagine what we can do with your support. Senator Glazer, I thank you for your time today.
Thank you, Armando. That was very articulate, and I love that you incorporated a lot of facts in your presentation, and you told a personal story of a particular veteran. Let me ask you this, Armando. What got you involved with Vector? Why did you get in this space?
I served in the Marine Corps. Half my family served in the military. I personally dealt with a family member who took his life due to the experiences and trauma he had in Iraq. And so we're a strong advocate for any services for veterans.
The one feedback I would give you is that, you know, here in the Capitol, there's like 3,000 registered lobbyists, and we get you know, people come in and make the case with a lot of facts and figures. But you know what separates you from all those lobbyists, and what makes you special, is because you have a personal story to tell, and you just told it to me.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you were in the service.
Yes, sir.
It's a part of your family's life. You've had some personal tragedy
Yes, sir.
that has touched you deeply, and it's gotten you into the space. And so I would say to you, Armando, that's such a powerful story. You shouldn't hide it, and you shouldn't hide it. It's what separates you from all the other interest groups that come before us, is that those personal stories are very, very powerful. And I thank you for sharing yours.
And thank you for your time, sir.
Thank you. Our next speaker will be Keva.
Good afternoon, Senator Glazer.
Hi.
My name is Keva Dean, and I am a supervisor with the County Welfare Department in the same building where I previously received benefits. And I am a current participant in the Contra Costa Solano County Speakers Series. I also am the proud mother of 3 highly educated and successful women, but our journey was not an easy one. When my children were young, very young, I was in an abusive relationship, and as a result, I had to quit my government job. And so, because I could not get unemployment benefits, my only resource was welfare. And I had promised myself that I would never go on welfare because I'd seen my mother's experience with the system. But because it was my only resource, I went ahead and applied. So my family and I received cash benefits, food stamps, Medi-Cal, WIC, Section 8, and free and reduced school lunches. We also received free food from churches and other community-based organizations that I'm sure got their supply from the Contra Costa Food Bank. So as you probably know, 1 in 6 children in America live in poverty and are food insecure. And studies have shown that there's a direct correlation between access for nutritious food and a child's ability to learn. Okay, so as a result of me being able to access these benefits and this support, I was freed up, part of my life was freed up to help my children grow and dream big. Fast forward, all 3 of my daughters have their bachelor's degrees, and my 2 youngest have their master's degrees. The 29-year-old is a manager in the finance community, and she helps her clients improve their credit score and their economic status in general. And my 25-year-old is a medical social worker working with families to improve their medical lives and their lives in general. So Senator Glazer, I strongly urge your support for Senate Bill 20 and Assembly Bill 396, so that all students, be they at the primary level, that's K through 12, or in college, like my daughters with your support, will be able to access healthy food so that they can learn sufficiently and grow. And like my daughters, make a powerful and positive impact on this entire world. Thank you very much for your time and consideration.
Well, thank you, Keva. What a powerful story, and it brings a tear to my eye. I appreciate how hard it must have been for you to work through those challenges in your life, and I can't think of a better gift on Mother's Day coming up than to hear about the success of your daughters. Wow, they must be very, very, very proud of you.
Very, very proud.
Thank you.
Okay, and our next speaker will be Marissa. I think you're on mute.
Got it.
There you go.
Hello, Senator Glazier. My name is Marissa Schaffer, and I work for the YOLO Food Bank. And through my firsthand experiences as a child, I know the feeling of going to bed hungry. As an adult in need of services provided by food banks, I encounter far too many conversations where the feeling of despair is clear in the voice of an elderly person saying they've only eaten canned vegetables because no one can bring them fresh food. Food insecurity, isolation, loneliness, all of these existed among our seniors prior to COVID and only worsened during the shutdown. I continuously observe the heroic efforts of a few mobile seniors carrying enough for their homebound friends to brave the environment to bring food to them. Each day, I bear witness to how food insecurity is impacting individuals of every socioeconomic status, and most directly, our homebound population. Food banks are communities within communities, providing millions in resources, unmeasurable compassion, unconditional acceptance, and priceless amounts of kindness for thousands of homebound seniors. According to Feeding America, only 48% of our eligible seniors in the US are receiving SNAP benefits, making assistance programs for SNAP enrollment that much more important. Our seniors' inability to access and or utilize technology is a detriment to connecting them to available services. Senator Glazier, I ask for your strong support of SB 107 by Senator Wiener. It creates a simplified 2-page CalFresh application for older adults and people with disabilities and will ensure that all applicants and participants can sign required forms over the phone. This is a critical legislation for us to better serve this vulnerable and deserving population. Food is not a privilege, it's a basic need for humanity to survive. And I implore you to act on behalf of the people to provide the support, action items, and necessary means to end hunger now and for all. I'm available and ready to assist in any manner possible. I thank you, Senator Glazier, for your time and consideration.
Thank you, Marissa. Thank you for your service at the Yolo County Food Bank. You know, I thought the most powerful thing that you said was, each day I bear witness. That's a very powerful phrase, and the only thing I would say would be to extrapolate on that and share even more. So what have you what did you witness, and who are the people that you saw come through, and any kind of personal stories to share? Bearing witness is such a powerful point to make. I'm so glad you made it, and I'm so glad you've had that special perspective, and that's what makes your advocacy so much stronger, is that personal perspective. In your life, you mentioned that you had situations where you were food insecure, I think at the beginning, but bearing witness is a very impactful perspective to have, and thank you for sharing your story.
Thank you. And every day it is impactful. Every day I see it, I feel it, and my heart goes out to anybody that's in need.
Yeah, and I think that's part of the challenge in advocacy, is to bring those stories and those personal experiences to our hearts, because we're not there seeing it, feeling it, and having that witness, and that's the power of your engagement.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we're halfway there. Our next speaker will be Colby.
Good afternoon, Senator Glazier. It's a pleasure to have you in here, and it's very meaningful. Mine's going to sound a little different from the others. I've missed a significant amount of this training. However, I'm just listening. I'd like to give a personal account of my experience of food insecurity and being an observer of that. I personally come from an advantaged background. I grew up in a nice suburban town called Orinda. We didn't have those issues in my family or community at all. No free or reduced lunch programs to speak of. But that said, you know, I got a real up close and personal view of what it means for those who are disadvantaged or disenfranchised. You know, when I was a school counselor for 16 years in the South San Francisco Unified School District, watching the free or reduced program, I supervised the lunch line, and what this meant for kids to get consistent, nutritious meals. Very powerful to watch up close. That was obviously coming from the state or federal or county funded, and it meant everything for these parents to have their kids assuredly fed and nourished appropriately. And so these things really matter. And I know you know that as a senator quite well. And I'm a big believer that we need to do whatever we can on whatever level we exist. By the way, I'm a kinship social worker here in Antioch. I work right across the way from the City of Antioch building as a kinship social worker for Lilliput Families, a nonprofit agency. Been working here for 3 years, and we do a food bank program. And so I am a participant in this food bank Solano Contra Costa County speaker series myself, but also we serve food bank for our enrolled kinship caregivers, who many of these kinship caregivers have biological children also that they're trying to sustain food for. And so they have a lot of hardships and themselves come from either a minority or disadvantaged background. And so food bank means a lot to them, to cut down on their monthly expenditures, to make sure they're getting nutritious foods that food bank provides us. This stuff matters. And my last point is, I think we have a moral obligation. I'll also argue a scriptural, obligation and responsibility, a communal obligation and responsibility, and state and federal and political county obligation to do what we can on the level that we work at, or whatever we can, to be of service to others. I think being of service to others is a noble thing. That's a main reason maybe you could argue that human beings are here, is to help each other. And so you have a lot of power, or at least you have the ability to help us push some legislation where you can. And I'm a big advocate for Senate Bill 364 and 396. So whatever you can do for us at your level, it would be greatly appreciated. And I can't tell you, if you could see in their eyes what it means to get food on this type of level, I don't want to say it means everything, but you could argue in a way it does. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Colby. And I coming from a privileged background, I think that one of the powerful stories that I've seen and experienced in my life was a couple of years ago on the homeless count in Contra Costa County. I went out with the county folks to as a part of that, and met a couple people under the freeway in Walnut Creek. And when I asked them about their background, one of them said that they grew up in Moraga, a pretty affluent place, just like Linda is, but a divorce, a health problem, and now he's living under the freeway. And that what all of us understand is that affluence is could potentially a temporary thing, and that all of us, there are many people that are one paycheck away from being homeless. And so while you come from a background of privilege, it doesn't mean you're not connected to those who have and are suffering great angst, whether it's housing or food or many other ailments. And so I don't think it's anything to be defensive about, and I don't think you were, but it points out that it's not just them over there, that food insecurity and so many other challenges in life can happen in the snap of a finger, and that we are all in this together, and that our common humanity, wherever we come from, doesn't mean that's where you are and where you're going. And we have to reach out and be supportive wherever life leads us. And certainly through this pandemic, we all understand how things can change so quickly. So Colby, thank you for being a part of this and for sharing your story.
Thank you, Senator Glazer. Appreciate your time.
Okay, next up we have Sarah.
Hi, my name is Sarah Berten, and I am currently a junior at Camp Lindo High School in Moraga. My experience with food insecurity is limited, and my only contact this far has been through volunteer opportunities and learning about it in school. I recently went to Berkeley to feed the homeless for volunteer opportunity, and I was very saddened by the amount of people relying on others just to be able to get through the day. We brought over 500 lunches, and it wasn't nearly enough for the amount of homelessness present throughout the city. In addition, the food we brought was only enough for one meal. I think that going into Berkeley and seeing just how much of a struggle it was changed my views because I personally had no issues in the past with food insecurity, and it made me sort of blind to the huge population of homelessness and percentages of people that do experience food insecurity. I think that overall, the message would be that most people don't advocate, or some people don't advocate for food insecurity because some people don't have a sense of what it's like and they don't realize how prominent of an issue it really is. We all should be more educated about food insecurity because if more people work together, it would accelerate the progress of our advocacy. Food insecurity can be long-term or just short-term, but I believe that both are equally important. We need to give more access to people in need so they don't have to worry about basic necessities such as food or water. In order to make this possible, food programs need to be easily accessible and they need to be available to a wider community of people. The amount of people that either don't know where they can get help with food insecurity or just don't qualify makes up a large percentage of people struggling today, and there is so much food that is wasted that we could use to help people in need. This is why I urge your strong support of Senate Bill 107, which creates a simplified CalFresh application and ensures that applicants can sign required forms over the phone, and your support of Senate Bill 240, which is a triple win to help farmers and food banks while preventing food waste by extending 15% tax credit for donations to food banks to 2027. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you, Sarah. And it's wonderful that even though you have the demands of your studies, that as a junior in high school, that you would step out of your comfort zone, really, and say, I care about others, and then to go to Berkeley and to participate in that effort there is a great experience. I hope I hope it inspires you to appreciate how these experiences really can change your perspective about the world. That so many people get comfortable in their space and they don't break out of that bubble. And yet the more field trips and experiences that you have, it will really continue to expand your knowledge of what's working in the world and what's not. And your advocacy is really stepping up in a big way to say, not just that you care, but you want to change things, and you're investing your time and energy to do so. And I appreciate your thoughtful and articulate presentation. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next we have Ellie.
Hello, my name is Ellie Bravo. I'm a resident in Solano County, and I am privileged to go through the Food Bank Speaker Series. My husband and I are pastors at Liberty Church here in Fairfield, California. Last year, when the whole world was interrupted by the well-known coronavirus, and during the lockdown, my family and I started praying and asked God how we could be a blessing to others during this time. Immediately, we felt the need to clear our garage and purchase food and started putting together bags of food. Every day we drove around our city and we purposely drove into the low-income communities where we encounter many families struggling and many share going through financial crisis and mostly feeling helpless because of their immigration status that does not allow them to apply for any sort of local or state programs. Today, this prayer has turned into a food pantry ministry. We continue to pray and provide food for five different apartment complexes throughout our city, serving more than 300 families on a weekly basis. And many share their stories and their needs. Many express being worried how they will feed their families if things continue to be as they are now or worse. Many have lost their jobs due to being sick or laid off. Many do not qualify for unemployment or any sort of pandemic relief because of their immigration status. They worry because they have small children and don't know how they will get through this. Senator Glazer, I was easily identified with their needs and my heart aches because as a child, my parents came from Mexico and they worked hard. And many times my parents faced sudden situations that they were not ready for, like my father's accident at work. He could not work for many months because of his accident. Although my mother continued to carry on the load, it was not enough to support 6 children of her own. I thank God for friends and a church family who were so kind to help on many occasions. My mother was aware and told about many programs in the county However, because of her immigration status, she knew that she did not qualify. I remember her being scared and anxious. I remember also being scared and anxious and worried for my parents and my brothers and sisters. I thank God my father was able to recover and open doors, and God opened doors for us, and we were able to overcome those times. The journey was not easy, but now we are all US citizens and love this country. But I know the struggle continues to be real, and it affects many immigrants, especially those with small children. There are many hardworking people who are looking to give a better future for their children. Senator Glazer, today I want to be a voice for my people, and I ask for your strong support of AB 221 bill, which will provide immediate emergency food benefits for immigrants adversely affected by the COVID-19 pandemic and who are excluded from federal aid because of their immigration status. It will be a positive impact for people who feel hopeless and don't have a way of qualifying for local or state programs. Thank you for your time, Senator Glazer.
Thank you, Ellie, for a very articulate presentation. And I just want to call out the important story that you brought about immigrants here that aren't eligible. That knowing that really changes the equation. It's not so simple, and you really brought that situation to life. I feel in your advocacy the deep faith that you have, and how you have. As you say, how to be a blessing to others. Isn't that something? How to be a blessing to others. What a beautiful feeling inside of you and your husband to have stepped up in such a meaningful way. I thank you for all that you're doing.
Thank you.
All right, just our final two. Next up, we have Maria.
Hello, my name is Maria. I work as a navigator for Contra Costa County Employment and Human Services, and I am a current participant in the Food Bank of Contra Costa and Solano Speaker Series. I started my career with the county 13 years ago. In my position at the time, I assisted the eligibility workers with translation during the CalFresh and CalWorks interviews. During the interviews, it saddened me to see how many people struggled to make ends meet. Yet I understood and could relate, as I was also struggling to put food on the table. I was raising 2 kids on my own, and my salary was not enough to cover our expenses. I found myself having to decide between paying rent and purchasing groceries. My income was over the limit for the CalFresh program, and in addition to that, I was over the income limit for my children to receive free lunch meals at school. I remember on one occasion, my son spent his lunch money at the convenience store, and I honestly did not know how or where I would acquire $5 to cover his school lunch for the remainder of the week. My son then started skipping class because of my inability to provide funds for his lunch. In addition, we were visiting mom during dinner to ensure my children had something to eat. I felt troubled and powerless by the reality of my financial situation. Research has showed that hunger can hinder cognitive development. Without the proper amount of protein and nutrients and energy, the student's cognitive development may be greatly hindered. Hunger can also increase behavioral problems. According to the American Psychological Association, school-age children who experience hunger are at increased risk for homelessness, chronic health conditions, and internalizing behavior, including depression, anxiety, withdrawal, and poor self-esteem. Today, I am here to speak on behalf of the lower wage earners living paycheck to make ends meet. And although I have advanced in my career and my financial situation has changed, it is still true that many families in our communities struggle to provide food for their children. Senator Glazer, I urge your strong support on Senate Bill 364 to ensure that all children attending school have access to free breakfast and lunch, thence providing them the opportunity for a better education. Thank you for your time and kind consideration.
Thank you, Maria. And you did such a wonderful job of weaving in your personal stories to advocate for those who have been in similar situations that you have been in. And it is a part of the challenge of the safety net. You know, the safety net has gaps, And if you're above a income threshold, what was supposed to be there for you may not be there for you, and you experience that directly. And also bringing your story of as a mom. And even, you know, it's so difficult to be a mom. And again, Mother's Day in a few days. Thank you, all you wonderful moms out there. It's not so easy. And you know that your kids are not born with your experiences in the world. They have to learn it on their own. And it means that they're rebellious and they don't always listen. And that is really, really hard, especially when you are living through hardship. And I really felt that story of how troubled you were when your son spent that $5. And it seems so trivial, but yet I bet it was and it remains really powerful in your life story. Hopefully he has learned something too. How old is he now?
He's 26.
You got to tell him that story. You got to remind him of that story. And hopefully he's doing well, and that he appreciates the incredible work that you did to raise your family the way you did with all the challenges that you faced. So thank you for sharing your story, being a great advocate.
Thank you.
Our final speaker will be Lizette.
Hello, Senator Glazer. My name is Liz Avalos. I am a proud Food Bank of Contra Costa and Solano employee. I am a current participant in the Food Bank of Contra Costa and Solano Speaker Series, and I am a hunger fighter. I choose to be a hunger fighter because when I was a child, someone chose to fight for me. Raised by a single mother of 3, I learned early on that angels existed. And those angels were average people to most, but to me, they were role models and extraordinary human beings. Those angels were my personal hunger fighters, and so much more. My mother was pregnant with her 3rd child when my father decided he wanted a change of life. This left my mom broken, alone, and with 3 daughters to raise on her own. Financially, my mother was not able to afford childcare for us, so we lived budgeting off her savings until we were old enough to be home alone. I never knew what it was like to go to McDonald's and order from a value menu as a child, but I could smell the barbecue chicken that was my favorite as I approached the door walking back home from school, no doubt in thanks to the food distribution she visited. I never knew what it was like to buy food or a canned soda from the snack bar at school, but I can tell you that I ran to the lunch line to get juice, since all we drank at home was water. I was so grateful for my lunches. Now a mother of 2 myself, in 2014, I was faced with my own challenges when I lost my job and my husband's income was not enough to make ends meet, yet too much to receive help. My kids found themselves relying on those same lunches. But what happens when your mother doesn't have enough for your lunch account? I will tell you what happens in the experience of my children. You receive the cold cheese sandwich of shame, the one that tells the school that you had no money. Senator Glazer, I'm here today to ask you to be a hunger fighter, to be an average yet extraordinary human being. I urge your strong support of SB 364 so that no child receives the cold cheese sandwich of shame. Thank you so much for your time and consideration.
Thank you, Liz, and for sharing your personal story. And what I like in particular about your story is that, you know, we hear a lot from advocates, and so you always think back, what stood out? Did anything stand out in that conversation that you can remember? And even today, you know, we have 10 plus conversations. What stood out? And so part of advocating is to try to find a way to describe what you're advocating for in a way that's powerful and memorable. And I love the way you use the phrase hunger fighter. I thought that's very memorable, that you want all of us from whatever backgrounds, humble means, average means, as you describe, legislators, to be hunger fighters. That just encapsulates what you all are doing in your advocacy efforts. And so I appreciate the up from the bootstraps work that you have done, and I'm sure are continuing to do, and paying it forward, paying it back, and paying it forward with your employment at the food bank. So thank you for sharing that wonderful story.
Thank you.
Thank you so much to all of our speakers and Senator Glazer for that feedback. It was very moving. I really appreciate the hard work that everyone has put in we started with all sharing all of these experiences, not knowing how we were going to get it down to a 2-minute story that we could share and that could tie into our advocacy work here. But everyone just did a phenomenal job. So I just want to say thank you so much to all of you. And Senator Glazer and Susanna, thank you for being here to really be the first exposure for this group for what advocacy and action feels like.
Well, thank you. And I'll tell you, it's easy to dismiss the power each of us has. It's one story, it's one voice, but one of the things that I've learned in our political system is that you can really make a difference if you speak up. You can keep your voice down, and you can go stand in the corner, and that's what most people do. And those that speak up, first of all, I hope you feel like it wasn't too scary, that it wasn't too intimidating, that I don't know if it's easier on Zoom or it's easier in person. I'm not really sure. You have to tell me that. But I hope that it was comfortable, because I think what you find by stepping out in the way that you have, and in our engagement, and hopefully in other engagements that you have, is that we're just friends and neighbors. There's nothing special about me or another senator or something. That we come from the same places that you come from, different experiences and backgrounds. And it means that it's not scary. It shouldn't be scary. I still get scared when I stand in a room full of people and have to give a speech. So it doesn't matter what your position is, you can still get nervous when you're talking to people. I actually think Zoom is easier, but I hope that you feel that in this experience that it hasn't been scary, and that you can see the power of your voice and the power of your story, and that you can really change things. Like making laws is not something for somebody over there, that it's really about all of us collectively. And when you step up, it means that your voice and your experiences are going to have power in the decisions and where we go as a community, as a society going forward. It's just not like it's somewhere else or some other people, that you can be actively engaged and powerful, no matter your backgrounds. It's because of your experience, and it's because of your voice. And you all have beautiful voices that weave together experiences and stories that are meaningful and powerful. You've experienced them. You know what I'm talking about. And so I love that you are engaged and you're willing to share and give something of your heart, and share something of that's sensitive and personal. But I hope you realize how powerful it is. And so being a part of this speakers series, I hope you feel like it's given you a platform. It's given you some advice and some insights about how to do it from the wonderful training that the food bank leaders have brought to you. But you can be a California state senator. You can be anything that you want. You should feel that nothing holds you back, and that your experiences makes you even stronger and more important than ever. And so the issue of apathy, this is where you have stepped up and crushed apathy. And I hope you feel empowered by that, because that is what will change our world for the better. And I thank you all for stepping up, showing that you're not intimidated, and that your experience matter, and that when you talk to people like me, your experience matters a lot. And I thank you.
Thank you so much. And what you said really reminds me of what our second module was. Your story is your strength. That's our module that Laura Moran ran for us. And in that, it talked about how your story is more powerful. Your advocacy is more powerful when you share where you've been, because it gives so much impact to understand how much you've gone through and overcome to get to this place of being an advocate. So I hope everyone does feel like the speaker series has been a a source of empowerment, a source of becoming more confident in public speaking. And again, just thank you everyone for sharing today. Senator Glazer, thank you. Susanna, thank you for being here.
I want to see you guys next year and the year after. You have to stay engaged, and I want to connect with you, hopefully in person, up here in the Capitol. But I hope that to see you around Contra Costa, around our communities. And please introduce yourself and remind me of our engagement so I can remember it too. But I hope that this is not the first visit that we can have together.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cassidy, can I jump in?
Please do.
First, I'm Joel Shostrom. I'm the president and CEO of the food bank. And first, just Senator Glazer, thank you so much for taking the time to join us here today, and for all of your service, to our communities. And I really want to thank all of the participants in the speaker series. I had the privilege of being what I think was your first work session together, and you have come so far. And your stories are really powerful. You're bringing such strong stories that are really bring a strong voice to our representing our clients and our neighbors in need. So thank you for the time and energy that you've put in over the last number of weeks, and in really strengthening that voice, and for really bringing that representation and support to our clients and to our food bank. So thank you again.
Thank you, Joel. Thank you for your leadership.
I'm on mute. I think we have the gift of time. We can give Susanna, Senator Glazer, and give you 15 minutes back. And we really appreciate you joining us today. We know it's an incredibly busy time in the legislative cycle. So having an hour of your time has been more than we expected or could ask for. So thank you so much.
Well, you have a great board leader in Laura Moran, who I love and who's incredible. So if you spent time with her, you spent time with an incredible person. So she's very, very special. And I appreciate all that you're doing. So let's stay in touch. Go Food Bank.
Go Food Bank. Thank you so much, Senator.
Okay.